Ekene, thank you very much for finally we're not connected. Okay, so let's talk, not waste time. Please introduce yourself, tell my audience who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ekene. My namesake. It's good
Yes.
to be here, finally. My name is Dr. Ekene Isikaku. I am Nigerian. I'm an Igbo woman. I live in Abuja, and I'm a public health specialist. I'm a medical doctor, and my special interest is in public health interventions. My work is that I oversee public health intervention programs in Africa, and currently I am the senior program field officer for Miracle Fit, overseeing the Clubfoot programs in 15 countries in West and Central Africa.
Okay.
That is
Very good.
me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Yes. So you mentioned you're a public health specialist. Now,
yes, please.
My audience may not know what public health means. So please enlighten us what that means.
Okay. Public health is a term used to address situations and conditions that affect a wide range of people, like an entire population. So it's not just like, oh, I have a headache, oh, I'm sneezing. So when 1 million people start sneezing, it becomes a public health concern. You remember what happened with the issue of COVID?
Yes.
Initially, there were news here and there, just some individuals, and then before you know it, it was declared a public health emergency
issue,
because many people now had it over a short period of time. So public health is just basically a situation, a condition, a health disease or whatever that affects the general public. In the same way, the solution to that problem will also, when applied to that general public, you get the same results.
Yeah.
You understand? So
yeah.
That is it in a nutshell.
Okay. So what kind of programs are you working on in public health area?
Okay. In the past, over the past, let's say 10, 15 years, I've majorly focused on HIV programs, HIV and AIDS, malaria and TB programs. I'm sure those are the common ones you also know about. Different government is interested, different interest groups, different individuals and non-governmental organizations, and a lot of successes have been recorded. And then recently, I joined Miracle Fit to supervise their Clubfoot program, and I realized while on the job that it has not really been publicized. It has not gotten the recognition and the awareness it so deserves, because Nigeria currently ranks number 3 on the Clubfoot burden in the whole world after Pakistan and India, I think. Yes, and every year over 10,000 babies, are born with Clubfoot. I want to say something about that so that I don't forget. It might seem uncommon. Clubfoot seems uncommon, but to that one person that has Clubfoot, to that one family that has the malformation present in their family, is a big issue. And when they grow up, because the intervention is so easy, it's so sad and so unfortunate that if the baby does not get treated, when they grow up, they live a whole life of discomfort. They live a whole life of discrimination, stigma, and all whatnot. So I'll still get the opportunity to talk more about that, but that is what I'm focusing on right now.
Okay. Now, what do you call again?
Clubfoot.
Okay. Tell my audience what that condition means. How is it manifested?
Okay. Clubfoot. Perhaps you'll also eventually show them a picture. Clubfoot, as the name goes, the clinical name is congenital talipes equinovirus. It is, by the name, it is when a baby is a congenital anomaly. When a baby is born and the baby comes out, he shows up with his foot curved downwards and inwards, like this.
Yeah.
Like the club, you know, the golf club.
Yes.
The head of the golf club, that one that hits the ball, you can see how it's curved. That is exactly how
Clubfoot.
So,
now it make more sense to me. Okay.
Exactly. Some communities in Sierra Leone, for instance, and Liberia, they call it turtle foot. You also know that the foot of the turtle is also curved.
It's
and
the way
he waddles.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is what it is. it doesn't have any known costs. We have not really been able to say this is what causes it. There's just been speculations about the risk factors. Some say maternal smoking, some say when the amniotic fluid in the uterus is very minimal and it causes some form of compression. Nobody really knows the cause, and that is how it's difficult because you cannot prevent it. Assuming you knew the cause, it will be highly preventable. So what we just do is to run programs to treat it and to support the family towards its rehabilitation over a few years so that the baby can have their balance.
Wow. So before we come back to Clubfoot, tell my audience what other public health issues we have in Nigeria and Africa at the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. Of course, we're conversant with COVID. COVID has not completely gone, even though it has been said, it has been declared not an emergency anymore, but it's still a public health issue. So COVID is there, malaria is there, HIV/AIDS, of course. We've made there's been a great success stories associated with HIV/AIDS, but just like it is still a public health concern. And there's this group of diseases called neglected tropical diseases, NTDs. I don't know if you've heard about them, such as schistosomiasis, onchocerciasis, and lymphatic filariasis. They are everywhere. And some of these are commoner in the riverine areas.
Okay.
Some people like farmers, like fish farmers, fishermen, they live there. That is what they do. That is the life they've known. So they are prone to some of these illnesses. I don't know if you've heard of kidney worm and all that. Some communities, some population in certain communities are more prone to these issues. And then, of course, that maternal and child health is of a public health concern. Nigeria has a very high maternal mortality rate and infant mortality too, and all other such related diseases. So these are the common ones I can quickly
mention.
think of.
Yes,
and the government is trying their best. Their best may not be good enough, but they are trying their best. They are working in collaboration with many international NGOs and even local NGOs to strengthen our health system to be able to address these issues. You saw what happened with COVID. When COVID came, it was as if we were not ready in pandemic response. Everybody was doing guesswork. We'll borrow from Malawi. We hear that one country is doing this, so we'll say, okay, let's do it. Even the whole world as it were, even the so-called developed countries, everybody was confused. So public health interventions go a lot with collaborations, partnerships, health system strengthening, so that it's a concerted effort, it's a joint effort, all hands on deck. So that's what is happening right now. Like I said earlier, even though I'm working on Clubfoot, even though my colleague may be working on malaria program, even though someone else might be in HIV program, once in a while there are some fora that bring everybody together, right? Where we have stakeholder meetings. Sometimes you network and see what you can learn from each other. So it's really been an interesting journey. And I have no regrets whatsoever.
Very good. So let's dive back into a little about Clubfoot. Okay. So how you say you work with the family for rehabilitation and other things, since nobody knows what causes that condition. Okay. So tell us what program do you recommend for families with the child with Clubfoot?
So Clubfoot care and management really is a joint effort. It is successful if implemented by a multidisciplinary team. So the diagnosis is clinical. It's only when the baby is born. You see it. Of course, you can see it in utero. Like when the mother is pregnant, you can also see it by radiology. So sometimes it's good if the mother can afford it. If the mother goes to antenatal and was able to see it. There's nothing that can be done, but it just prepares her mind, and it prepares the mind of the clinician that this is what we're expecting. So when the baby is born, immediately the baby is born, the treatment starts. We use a non-surgical. We promote in Miracle Fit. Miracle Fit Partners promotes the use of a non-surgical method called the Ponseti method. The Ponseti method. Over many years, surgery has been the gold standard, but it has been known that surgery comes with many complications and what we call relapse. So it will seem as if it's been treated, but then over 5 or 6 years, you see that it was not well treated. So now we are using Ponseti method, which involves the normal POP. The POP, that white bandage that when you soak it in water, you wrap it, and when it sets, it gets strong. That is what we use. Exactly. The team of doctors, the team of physiotherapists and nurses use it to gently manipulate the foot. There are some criteria, there are indices. They'll first of all inspect the foot, the affected foot. Some babies have it on both feet. They will inspect it. There's a scoring system called the Pirani score, and then they start the manipulation. They put the POP around the entire leg, and the baby comes every week to review and to recast, to put in another cast. After 5 or 6 weeks, that's after 5 or 6 visits, they are given what we call a brace. It's a specialized shoe that they are required to wear over 2 to 3 years. I think in the first 6 months, they wear it for 23 hours. Sometimes it's tedious. Wow. The baby is uncomfortable. Yeah. But after like a month, that the woman I met yesterday, I spoke with yesterday, she said after a month, her son got used to it, and there was no issue, because it's very important. This is where the psychosocial counselors come in. This is where the nurses come in. They keep talking to the parents, especially the mother, because let's be honest, it's the mother that usually bears the brunt of it. It's the mother that comes to the clinic more often. It's the mother that sleeps with the baby more often. So they keep encouraging the mother not to give up, that compliance is key, and that once you are able to scale through this phase, your baby's feet will be solidified and will be corrected in the right way. So that's what the treatment option is. So Miracle Fit and its partners, we have many programs. We have parental educational trainings where only parents gather. Sometimes they share their experiences. Imagine someone that has been in the program for 1 year is talking to someone that just joined the program this year. The person will be more encouraged, because this is someone speaking from experience. This is what the treatment looks like. This is what you should do to succeed. Even when your baby is crying and cannot sleep at night, don't worry. After 2 weeks or after 3 weeks, everything will be fine. So we have such programs. Then we also have a program we call early detection and referral training. This is for health workers, for midwives, for nurses, for other nurses in other sections of the hospital that are not in pediatrics. If you're in obstetrics and gynecology and pediatrics, that's the team that catches the baby. You must have an obstetrician, and then you must have a pediatrician. However, there are other people in even pharmacists. Just imagine this scenario. A mother comes to the hospital for something else. The doctor has seen her, then she goes to the pharmacy to take her medications, and she's carrying a baby with clubfoot, and she never knew that this condition is treated in this hospital. If any staff in that hospital has been trained to identify clubfoot in any of their units, the woman, there's a high chance that
somebody will catch it.
Someone will catch it.
Yeah.
So we have early detection and training for health workers. Right now, we are even trying to include like traditional birth attendants. Those ones are in the communities. So we've modified the curriculum, because they will not understand. They are not trained. They are not skilled. They will not understand some keywords. So we've modified it for the community aspect, where this TBS, because whether we like it or not, the traditional birth attendants are still receiving babies. People are still giving birth at home, in the bus, in the market. So we also need to sensitize those ones. We also have programs for traditional rulers, and that is high-level advocacy. We have meetings. Our partners have meetings with traditional rulers, religious leaders, to convince people, because sometimes when the clubfoot baby shows up, they say it's witchcraft, or someone went to the river to get a baby. We've heard all sorts. we've seen men that divorced. They are not the when you talk about divorce, it sounds prestigious or whatever. Men have chased their wives away because their babies came out with clubfoot, but it's nobody's fault. So we have such educative and sensitization programs to tell everybody that clubfoot is treatable, it is treatable and it's free, and it is not witchcraft, and it is not due to whatever the woman did or did not do. So those are it keeps us busy. We have so many other things, and maybe during the course of the interview, I will speak more about it.
Yeah. Wow. So see, you have highlighted a little bit of the misconceptions. Okay, but I'm sure there are more. So what other misconceptions do people have about clubfoot?
Well, I know apart from the one of witchcraft, and some people think
that's normal. We think everything is witchcraft.
Yes. So another thing, some people think is something that the mother took during pregnancy. You know, some women take traditional mixtures like herbal and so many things. And then some people I've heard one woman said, that she preferred to be sleeping on the left side of her bed of her body throughout pregnancy. That do I know whether that was what caused it? Maybe because the baby is always used to sleeping on one side. I said not at all. Once you move your body, your baby always moves with you. And your baby has enough room anyway, in most cases, to move around. And then I've also heard some people, well, do you know the funny thing is that we've not really researched many of these things. Some people feel it's the size of the baby. Some people might give birth to a big baby and feel that maybe the womb was not spacious enough for the big baby. So there's a myriad of myths. But these are not true. Until we find the true cause, everything is speculations and risk factors.
Wow. So what are some of the limitations and challenges that of providing clubfoot treatments in Africa?
Africa, yeah. Thank you. There's a lot of challenges. Yes,
I suppose so.
Yes,
we have a lot of challenges. Yes,
I know. I'll just highlight a few. You know, recently I was working on a grant that a donor was supposed to provide a vehicle grant. Let me use it as an example. So they asked some of the questions you just asked. I didn't know where to start from. We want to talk about, I want to start with the political instability. You know, in many countries, if you look around, I'm not just talking about Nigeria, but most of my examples will be from Nigeria. Many African countries are going through political instability. A government will start, maybe they will even start good initiatives that favor health, a lot of health programs, and then another government will come and scrap it, and they'll come up with their own as well. So there's no continuity. Because some of these health intervention programs, you have to run it for some years, in some cases for some decades. See what we are doing with HIV program. You have to run for some decades before you start talking about health outcomes, before you start talking about evaluation programs to see where we are coming from versus where we are going to. So political instability is a big problem about establishing political will. And then, of course, when you have unrest, when you have all this insurgency, when you have social unrest, injustices everywhere, people relocating. We've had cases of our patients relocating from one city to the other without informing anybody. You don't know whether they died. You don't know whether they left the country. You don't, because assuming they told us and we know the state. Let's just take Nigeria for example. If a patient is moving from one state to the other, we would like to know. We'll probably like to link him or her
to the available
another clinic in the exactly, but they will not just tell you. Some of them left unplanned, in distress, you know. And then there's also this migration. What do they call in-country migration? Some of these things they confuse statistical data. Imagine if you have a data on Nigeria and you have it state by state. Let's even take Clubfoot, for example. You have a population data and you know that in Lagos let's say 50,000 babies have clubfoot in Lagos and Ogun State, in Kwara State. Before you know it, cross migration, people living for different reasons, mass movements, this data gets mixed up and messes up and gets messed up. You won't be able to provide concrete interventions that will speak to the particular population.
Yeah.
So these are some of the challenges. And then we also want to talk about the fact that government has not really paid attention to many of these things. So apart from HIV, malaria, even the HIV programs, if you look well, it's mainly international agencies that are funding it.
Yeah.
The PEPFAR, the Global Fund, you said, you know, there's this counterpart funding that government is supposed to provide for every so and so hundred of thousands, for every so and so million of dollars we receive. Government is supposed to bring their own. Many times government has not been able to fulfill that. You know, sometimes it's as bad as when you go to the community like primary health care. Once they hear an NGO is coming with an intervention, they're even happy. They're not even, we're no more even ashamed of ourselves that this international aid, it has really lingered. Can't we look for culturally suitable solutions to our own problems? So, and even if an international agency wants to help, they still depend on you to give them context. So you still have to own the program. So those are some of the challenges. Or are we talking about education? The general literacy level in Africa is low. I think one publication, there's a study I saw, what was this website? I think it's Statistica. There's a study I saw, they did a study in 2021, but they published it just last year. The average literacy level in Africa is 67%.
Yeah.
But it's higher in Southern Africa and lowest in West Africa. West Africa literacy level is 54%. And then when you want to break it down, even though there are some high rising ones, like high performing ones like Seychelles and Equatorial Guinea, they're in the 95%. Someone like Nigeria, in Nigeria are only 77%. I even think it's lower.
I believe it's lower. I believe
it's lower. I'm telling you. Sierra Leone, Liberia, 48%, Cote d'Ivoire, 43%, Chad, 40%. It keeps coming down. Then Niger is 19%. What this means is that people are not even able to read and write, and information sharing and innovation is impeded. Imagine seeing a signpost.
Yeah, and you can't read it.
Imagine,
you don't know what it says. Yeah.
Do you understand? I remember once my sister's domestic help couldn't read until she stayed with her for like 5-6 years and she could read and write. I remember one particular scenario that the child was sick and you want your domestic staff to give a child medication or to do something just by going to the medicine or cough syrup to read. Okay, spell, the person cannot do. So it might seem little, but these things affect the general population when you start talking about overall literacy level. That means we cannot move beyond
literacy level affects public health issues very much.
Yes.
Please raise your image. Yeah.
Oh,
okay, very good again. Yeah. So literacy is a big challenge, and it affects everything.
So in addition to that is you might say climate change. I wanted to add climate change before I talk about poverty. Climate change is a big deal. I want to talk about the recent flooding that happened in Nigeria. At the same time, in fact, my colleagues, my partners in Liberia and Sierra Leone, during rainy season, I've noticed that the work drops. Clinic staff cannot access normal work.
Wow.
The patients that you're giving free treatments are not even able to go to clinic because the floods are heavy.
Oh my God.
And you remember what happened in Nigeria last year and even 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Cars were stuck at that local bridge. So it's a big deal. So climate change and the fact that our government has not been able to put measures in place. I keep asking myself, every year we are talking about local flooding. Why can't we do something to reinforce is it the dam or the river or the bridges or something? So it's a big issue. And then poverty is at the middle. All these things I've mentioned, poverty is at the middle, is at the center of it all. You know, people want to eat first before going to school. People want to eat first before going to hospital. Do you know, although that our partners are offering free treatment of clubfoot. You know, many people cannot afford transport fare to go and access it. We still give transport subsidy to people that live far for them to be able to come to the hospital. Then a mother will tell you, oh, I have 5 children, oh, who will take care of the other 4 when I come? And then sometimes when they come to the hospital, they spend the whole day. So you're talking about the economic implication of accessing care. You brought a child to hospital, but who will take care of the other 4? Who will take care of your shop in the market? So we are still dealing with issues and consequences of poverty, you know, in sub-Saharan Africa, or even Africa as a whole. So these are the salient issues I know that affect. We're not, and then poor infrastructure. You know what is happening with our hospitals? We don't have enough. That's number one. The ones we have are not well equipped, you know. So there's no road, there's no accessibility, there are no roads, there are no electricity. In medical school, then sometimes you'll be studying, sometimes you'll be in theater, they will take lights. It will take some time before they do the changeover. I heard that in some community hospitals, they use lamp and torchlights in the theater. Do you understand? So, or water supply. Many times you go to hospitals, primary healthcare centers, there's no water.
The social issues affecting our countries are enormous. You see, and see, I've seen some videos. I can't talk to you about them, even though they are medical, but they're not in your area of specialties. So I don't think you have the information to give me. So I'm looking for people who are policy people, okay, and connected.
I know what you're talking about, but let's not go there.
Yes, connected to people in power.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Wow. Anyway, how does clubfoot affect women and children in particular in families? Because I know something like this that needs a lot of managing, in particular by mothers, will affect nearly everything else in the house.
So let me start by the condition itself. It affects both women, both females and males. So the male child and the female child, but the males are more prone to it. Study has shown that baby boys are more likely to be born with clubfoot. But that aside, because in Liberia, I saw a mother that brought her daughter to clinic and she herself had clubfoot on both feet. So females are also affected. Now, now to the question of how it affects, like I already started answering it. It affects the woman so much. Sometimes there's this unseen, unwritten burden of care that is on us women. We are the ones responsible for the health and well-being of the child.
I know because I can remember when I was a young child. Okay, my mother was always the one taking us to clinics. I mean, hey, my dad did a lot of things, but when it comes to our health as children, it was always my mom.
Check-up, immunization. They'll keep the immunization card, birth certificates, and all that. It's interesting. It's just in few families that you see the men supporting. They may not be at the forefront, but a little help goes a long way. So it affects the woman even emotionally, mentally, economically. Like I told you, a woman is the one likely to forfeit her business, her day business, to be able to accompany the child to the hospital. Sometimes it takes the whole day. So imagine that she's the same person that will rush back to make food whenever the clinic finishes. She's the same person that will rush back to make food for the kids she left behind, and probably for the husband that will come back later in the day, you know. And imagine with all these difficulties, she's also the same person that still has to ask for permission to go to the hospital. In many families in the north, before a woman even takes the baby to go and access the free care, she still has to ask for permission. You cannot just carry your child and go and see a medical doctor. So these things affect her entire being, her psyche, her emotions, even her progress in her career. You see some petty traders, you see some business women, they are not able to go far because they are distracted with issues like this. So that's how I know it affects women. It affects women a lot.
Yeah.
And we keep working hard to. That's what I was saying. We have some parental engagement sessions where we keep encouraging the women, encouraging the men, the parents. We even tell the women, next appointment, we try to merge it with something. Next appointment, come with your husband. Let's address you together. Sometimes when they submit their details, their phone details, we ask for the man's number so that as we are sending SMS reminder to the woman, we also
send one to him
SMS
too.
reminder to him too, so that by the time he keeps seeing it pop up, he'll be like, what's this? Can you tell me a bit about this? So that he's not completely aloof.
Yeah.
So
that's a good strategy. Yes.
Yeah. So that's it in a nutshell. Yeah.
Wow. See, knowing our people, I'm sure, like you talked we always think everything's witchcraft. Okay. So what other cultural barriers and other things, maybe social economic issues that impact access to clubfoot treatment?
I would say, for instance, in terms of the woman, let's go back to the woman. One of the cultural barriers I know is just stigma and what people think. There's this expectation. In Africa, everybody is in everybody's business. By the time people see you, yes, we don't mind our business. It's part of
I see. Haven't lived here for nearly 2 decades. I think I like that better than the way we do things here. Anyway, go on.
You prefer the way you prefer. Come again. I'm interested in what you're saying. You prefer the one
that a communal view of things.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's I'm going into my philosophy. So see, as a person, I raise the individual above everything. Okay.
Yeah.
I raise the individual above everything. Okay.
Yeah.
But as a community, once you are a distinct individual who take responsibility for your life and the things you like, okay? Now, when you come to the community, in the community, I don't raise the individual above the community.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to community, once you step into the community, you do what the community want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So
my view is that I just know in life everything that has an advantage has a disadvantage, pros and cons. So our culture is good. The fact that you can just quickly drop off your baby and quickly go and attend to with your neighbor or with your cousin or with your sister-in-law and quickly go and do your business and come back and they help, all those things. But why I say that we don't mind our business is someone can just walk into your house and start asking you personal questions that you are not yet ready, that you are not yet ready to share. Telling you may be packaging your issue, and someone they are too forward. Do you understand? But let's go back to your question about about the cultural barriers. So in some of our cultures, disability, not just clubfoot, even polio, different physical disability, the one you see, people see it differently. They see it as a cause.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Some women are ostracized by their communities. Imagine a woman that maybe the husband has an outside job, comes in and goes out. They might even think that the woman went and slept with someone else and got pregnant.
Yeah, and that's the cause that the gods put on.
Yes. Some will say, oh, this is not in our lineage.
Yes.
My great-grandfather never had it. They don't know there's always a first time. That's why it's called incidence rate. There's always a new occurrence. There's always a first time for something.
Yes.
So And then, of course, the one I talked about, the cultural stigma. A woman has seen, probably went to the market, saw a flyer, knows that there's a free treatment somewhere, knows that this will be good for her baby, but she still needs permission to go and discuss with the husband. Sometimes the husband will say, okay, let me discuss with my senior brother. They'll make it such a big deal just to take a baby, me and you, husband and wife, just to carry our son or our daughter to the hospital. So there's a lot. And then, of course, you know that in some cultures, they prioritize male family members, the male child. Well, so you can imagine they might even be treating the male family member, the male child. They are not treating the female child. We've seen it happen in so many ways. Even in the family, there's gender disparity. So those are some of the issues that we are dealing with. We find a way to deal with that, but they are enormous.
Wow. Now we've talked about clubfoot. Okay, I'll come back to it, but I want to also digress. Like I said, every time I have people like you, I like to talk about so many different things.
Yeah.
See, in healthcare in Africa, we have many challenges. You have mentioned some of them, okay? But tell us, what challenges do you think are the biggest affecting healthcare sector in Africa?
The biggest, I will not mince words, and I say this with every sense of humility and responsibility. Our biggest problem is corruption. In Africa, in Nigeria. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I'm not a political science expert, but even as a baby, even a layman can see that sometimes, what I just keep using COVID as an example. Even when some people donated money and bought some things to relieve people of the stress of COVID, it was hoarded until I think some of them started expiring and stuff. Do you know some of our vaccines, some of the vaccines that we get from overseas, even those that are supposed to maintain a cold chain? You know what cold chain is? You must, from the manufacturer, it must be in a fridge. It must be cool as is coming in. Whether it's DHL that is bringing it, is in a fridge. You know, even some vaccines that are, even some drugs, you know, this immunization we give our children. Some very sensitive medications, do you know, they hoard it and it expires and then they discard it. So corruption is at the center of what we're talking about. It's a big issue. I already spoke about political instability. An economy cannot progress if there's political instability. It's not just about foreigners from developed countries coming to establish. Even within us, see what is happening. So during cashless policy, during this, so many things, so many regional clashes. Sometimes there's a curfew. Sometimes they give 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. curfew. Sometimes out of fear. You know what of this sit at home that happens every Monday in the East? These are all sources of political. These are all examples of political instability that affect the economy, affect health, affects education, affects every single thing that we do. And then I want to reiterate poor infrastructure. These big things: corruption, political instability, and poor infrastructure. Because sometimes you even have exchange programs. When we're in medical school and even in residency training, you have exchange programs whereby some Nigerians go to China, some Nigerians go to the US, some US students come over. When they come over, they don't even have enough, even some doctors, they don't have enough equipment to work with. You know, the reason why it seems like Nigerian doctors do very well when they go abroad is that when they go abroad, they have all those tools, all those things they were seeing only in movies or in their textbooks. They have it to work with. It makes work easy and more efficient. You have an app for scheduling patients. You have an app for some you have some diagnostic tools to help you think about possible options and to rule out many things. So life is not like it's easy, but it's easier and approachable. Yes, it's easier and more efficient. If you're supposed to see 5 patients in a day, if you have everything that is working for you that has been said before, you may be able to see 10 or 15 patients in a day. So these are the issues that we are talking about.
See,
and then you might,
for me, it's not only in the medical profession or sector.
Yeah.
One thing I see, and I will say this, I've been talking about it, affirmative action. National, we call it a national character. It's a big deal. Okay? Because what it has done for decades is it has promoted mediocrity. See, this is why we have so many mediocres in positions of authority.
Yeah.
And I don't know when we Africans, Nigerians will finally see that this has not worked. Everybody is suffering. In the medical profession, the people in power go out somewhere to the Western world to take their treatments, and they leave everybody else to suffer with the bad infrastructure, without the right medications. And it started from affirmative action.
Yeah.
Right now, absolutely. In secondary, I see the cutoff mark of students going to secondary school, government secondary schools or universities. The disparity.
Yeah.
Okay. The disparity between someone from east or west or north, and they're supposed to be in the same class, studying the same material. Thing. And we I mean, how does that work?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I went to school for the gifted and talented. I went to Suleja Academy. That was my high school, and it was a scholarship.
Okay.
However, national scholarship. You said they got two persons from each state, and they put us together. However, when I was in SS3, when I was just about to enter SS3, so they introduced this quota system, whereby whether it was no more on merit, whether they get to the cutoff mark, any two persons will come from the state. Any two persons. So I got a roommate that didn't know, that couldn't say her name. This is my personal story. I had a roommate that couldn't say her name. So you had to teach her that what is your name? This is the response to it. So sometimes you now ask her, aren't you going to eat? She'll tell you her name. She'll think you're still asking her, what is your name?
Oh my God.
Will you like to join me to the dining? She would repeat her name. I don't want to call her name just for privacy. She repeats her name. So this happened right before us. Of course, when she got to JS3, she was frustrated out of the system. But these things happen. Quota system, we are so used to you give this person, you give this person, you give this person. Whether the other party is ready to take, like we see a lot of some appointments, I don't want to, I'll say this off record, but we'll see a lot of appointments that that this person is not the best.
Yeah, not qualified.
You understand?
Yeah.
Yes. All those ministerial appointments and stuff. That's fine.
But see, it's not only in Africa, okay? It also happens in, let's say, America. The same thing happens, and it's breaking down that society. Okay, the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. See, these are things that if only we learn from the failures of the developed world. Okay, so that the things they fail at, we look at it, we study it,
and learn,
and make sure we don't implement those things in our country.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, nobody is interested in those things.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go back to Clubfoot. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What are the roles of healthcare providers? What role do they play in addressing the challenges faced by the people assessing healthcare facilities and treatments?
Okay, so healthcare providers, they play a big role. Of course, is in the health facilities that babies are treated. So that is the first role. They provide the treatments.
Okay.
You know, they provide training for staff, healthcare professionals. So let me use Clubfoot as let me use my partners as an example.
Okay.
So Miracle Fit currently has 2 partners in Nigeria: the Straight Child Foundation, and their headquarters is in Umuahia, in FMC Umuahia. And then there's an organization called Health and Development Support Program, HANDS for short. Their headquarters is in Jos. They support, what they do is that they oversee. So what all the things I told you that I do through them, right? They support this Clubfoot program in over 25, I think, as at 2 weeks ago, they launched the 26th clinic. So they go to clinics, empower them, provide equipment for them, provide the clinic materials for casting, and they provide training and a lot of technical assistance to them. So now they are currently in 26 hospitals in Nigeria. It is not enough, but it is a big step to the right direction.
That's true.
So healthcare providers, so other than the treatments, they provide information. Like I told you, if a healthcare provider, if a nurse or a radiologist or a phlebotomist, a lab scientist is able to identify Clubfoot, that person will be able to quickly refer a baby that is born with Clubfoot to the right place. It might even be in their neighborhood. It might even be that Mama Sikira had a baby in the house and a healthcare provider is there just as an observer, and immediately the baby shows up with Clubfoot. Be like, okay, we actually treat this condition in my hospital. So they serve as a channel of information, I'll say that, to the public as well. They provide training, like I said, and like for instance, I've mentioned some of the trainings: early detection and referral training. There's an app, a data management app we use in gathering information.
Okay.
We call it CAST, capital CAST, CAST. Is an app that captures the baby's details, the baby's names, the baby's score. Before they start treatment, they will score the fee. There's a scoring system they call Pyramid score. So it's just like an M&E. If you're in public health intervention, if you're conversant with the terms, monitoring and evaluation are just like tools and templates, sometimes Excel sheets that used to gather information, data collection. So we use an app to do this real time. So if there's a clinic going on today that is Friday, like I know that some clinics, like the Aba clinic, today is their clinic. As they are seeing patients in Aba, as they are entering that patient data into the CAST system, I can see it here while I'm in Abuja. Or if I travel, or my colleagues in the US or wherever, I can see it. So this is also done by healthcare workers. Someone is assigned that role. So they play diverse roles. And they also offer psychosocial support. You know, we all need some form of help, some form of support. Sometimes you need someone to talk to, and a healthcare worker sees it both. Imagine a woman that knows the rigors of keeping a family, and she's also a healthcare worker. She's able to relate even more. So she has the information she needs to share with you as a professional, and she also understands you from the human aspect. So they also act as psychosocial support to families born with Clubfoot, because it's not easy to deal with this condition and be in treatment for 2 to 3 years and comply to all that the doctor says you should comply to. So that's the role of healthcare providers.
See, I can imagine. See, I never knew anything about Clubfoot, but I suffer some of that, okay, but it's not I didn't have it from birth. I have it because I have a brain injury. That's So I had a stroke. So
wow.
Yeah. So I have that's one of the things I'm struggling with. See if you can see my hand,
form of paralysis.
Yes. If you can see my hand, this side of this side of my body is not moving. Okay. Yeah. So that's so I understand what you're talking about.
Let me take a guess. You're probably working with physiotherapists, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And it helps.
Yeah, it does help. And I understand when you say it takes a lot of effort from the mothers to make sure the child wears the shoes or the cast or the See, I know how difficult it is to maintain that thing. It's so difficult. Okay, so I understand that. I understand that.
Yeah.
So see, I don't know. For me, I would prefer not to ask this question, but let's just go with it. Let's just go with it.
Okay.
Okay. You know why I don't want to ask a question? Because I don't expect any. But let's go. See, what is the Nigerian government doing so far to support? Yes, you now know why I don't want to see. So let me not assume that they're not doing anything. Okay, so let me ask you.
Yeah.
What
is it
the
to
government?
Support Clubfoot treatment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm happy to. It's not a bad question. It's not. I like to discuss that. That is why I'm here.
Okay.
That is why I'm looking. I'm also happy for other opportunities to keep talking about it. Like I told you, my brother, many people don't know about Clubfoot.
Yes, that's true.
I don't know why, whether it's because people are ashamed, whether it's because of the associated stigma, so they are hiding it. But believe it or not, Clubfoot has not been integrated into the Nigerian health system.
Okay.
So you know the way you have Ministry of Health and you have different directorates and agencies, we don't have that for Clubfoot. So it's something we are working towards. In a few stakeholders meetings that I've been to, the Nigerian government is interested, but they've not taken the lead. I must be honest with you. So I will say that the good thing is that they're interested. So if an organization like Miracle Fit is willing to provide the technical guidance and assistance and say, this is the roadmap, I'm sure stakeholders, I'm sure Ministry of Health, and even those at the primary healthcare level, they'll be able to work together, all hands on deck. But for now, the Nigerian government has not done much to support the Clubfoot program. The only thing which is still big is that in most of the clinics, our partners work in Hands and Stretch Out Foundation. They are government clinics, so it's something.
Okay. Something. That's good.
Because if you want to try it, yes, if you want to try it, if you want to pilot it, we have piloted it in 1 or 2 private clinics. It has not been very successful because you know that it's profit that is driving most of these private clinics. But in government hospitals, they've given us a warm welcome to provide that platform where the treatment will be done. But all other things, we are still working with them to make it fully established, to train the health workers.
They're helping a little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you have a lot of work to convince them, and okay.
Exactly.
Clubfoot, you say in Nigeria we have 10,000
every year. 10,000 babies.
Every year.
New cases every year. Yeah.
Now, how on the international stage, how prevalent is Clubfoot? And I mean,
globally,
yes.
Every year over 200,000, I think. Over 200,000 babies are born with Clubfoot every year.
So that means in 10 years we'll have a million people. Yeah. You're very
good with maths. Yes. And what I tell partners is that if you say in Nigeria that you have 10,000, for instance, and we are treating just an arbitrary figure, let's say we are treating 2,000 every year.
Yes.
It's big, but it's not enough.
Yeah,
so the 8,000 carryover, let's use the word that we are familiar with.
Yes.
The 8,000 carryover will still meet next year's new 10,000.
Yeah.
It will keep rolling over. It will keep rolling over. We have not successfully done a birth surveillance to find out the current, what we have are projections as per our population. Okay. We have not done a correct surveillance assessment to know the number of babies that currently have clubfoot in Nigeria. So those are still issues that we are working towards. It will be easier if we integrate clubfoot care and treatment into the national health system. It will be easy to use all the platform that government has and all the vehicle, maybe through, I don't know which portfolio now will have it, but maybe through neglected tropical diseases, I don't know, maybe through pediatrics, we'll be able to find the actual number of cases in Nigeria. But for now, it is tagged at over 10,000 for Nigeria, and I think over 200,000 worldwide.
See, when I think about the numbers, actually, and the carryover effect, I see the enormity of this small issue in people's lives in 10 years, 20 years. Oh my God. So
and even on the economy.
Yeah. On the economy. See, first, let's look at it in their personal lives and the lives of people around them. And because of it, they can't participate effectively in every area of life.
Yes.
Wow.
There's some jobs they cannot take.
Yeah, of course not. And
even
because of it, they can't. They will suffer in their education.
Yes.
Wow.
Even as a woman, imagine standing up many hours in the kitchen, moving around to cook.
Yeah.
It will be very uncomfortable and painful if you have clubfoot on one or both feet. Something as basic as that. What of farmers? They may not be able to farm.
Yeah.
They will not be able to stand or bend in that way for a long time. So there's a lot of issues. What about wearing shoes? They will have some specialized shoes. So people will always be looking at them funny. So these are issues that they have to deal with if they don't treat the clubfoot.
Wow.
So it goes beyond just talking about it in a light
exactly.
In a light it really affects the entire.
How long have I been talking to you? Over nearly an hour, but it just dawned on me exactly what that means.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's try to wrap up. See, I know you have been working on this for some years. So tell us some of these successes that you guys have gained throughout the years you have been working on this.
Yeah. So actually, Miracle Fit's partner have been working in Nigeria for 5 years, and Miracle Fit itself as an organization has been in existence for about 12 years. Together, Miracle Fit and its partners have treated over 77,000 babies with clubfoot.
Okay.
And in Nigeria, we have treated over 2,000 babies with clubfoot. We call it a success because even though it's not enough, if the interventions were not supported, what will have been the fate of those 2,000 babies? Do you understand? They will have just be part. They will just be part of the statistics that you and I just talked about. So those are the successes. And then a lot of health workers have been trained. That's a big success. Even though we have the so-called brain drain, sometimes you train a set of health workers, doctors, nurses, and then
the jackpot.
And they move. But honestly, we have trained over, again, 2,000 healthcare workers.
Wow, that's good.
You know, and that includes doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, and other allied care, psychosocial counselors, and all whatnot. And then you talk about economic empowerment. You
Yeah.
talk about economic empowerment as well. We
Yeah.
have been able to provide jobs. We provide stipends to some clinic coordinators, very small, but something to say thank you for your efforts, or something to buy a recharge card. We support the work that they do. You spend time in putting this information in data form to inform decision making.
Yeah.
This is your stipend or transportation. So it's something that, if done well, if harnessed well, we'll be able to record even more successes.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, you talked about, you guys have implemented some of these strategies in about 26 hospitals in Nigeria. Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
can you tell my audience those hospitals, so that if they are close by, they can, and they
Exactly.
have a clubfoot, then they can take their children or themselves to those kind of hospitals.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to really thank you for this opportunity. I want to say that Miracle Fit currently supports 2 indigenous partners in Nigeria, the Straight Child Foundation and Health and Development Support Program, in the care and treatment of babies born with clubfoot.
Okay.
These clinics are in different parts of Nigeria, so I'll just list them. I hope I'm able to remember most of
All
them.
of them. Yeah. They're
Federal
plenty.
Medical Center, yes, Federal Medical Center Umahia.
Okay.
Abia State, Federal Medical Center Owerri in Imo State, Federal Medical Center Lokoja in Kogi State, University of Uyo Teaching Hospital in Akwa Ibom State,
Okay.
Nnamdi Azikiwe University Teaching Hospital in Anambra. Now, Nnamdi Azikiwe University Teaching Hospital, it is the trauma center at Oba, not the main teaching hospital.
Okay.
Then Enugu State University Teaching Hospital, Park Lane, Irua Specialist Hospital, Edo State, Alex Ekweme Federal University Teaching Hospital, Abakaliki in Ebonyi State, Rema University Teaching Hospital, Abia State, Abia State, University of Benin Teaching Hospital, Benin, Edo State, NKST Specialist Hospital, Nka in Benue, Benue State University Teaching Hospital, Makurdi, Bingham University Teaching Hospital, Jos, Plateau State, Alliance Specialist Hospital, Abuja, Asokoro General Hospital, Abuja, Dash in Lafia, that's the Dal Hatu Araf Specialist Hospital in Lafia. The National Orthopedic Hospital, last year, we started working with Ibobi, National Orthopedic Hospital
in Lagos. Okay.
And then, yes, in Lagos, because it's a referral center and many cases go there. And then recently, few weeks ago, the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, also in Lagos, that's last week.
Yeah, last week.
And then, yes, and then you have the National Orthopedic Hospital, Dala in Kano State. Then the Tafawa Balewa Teaching Hospital in Bauchi State. And then there's another one, Modibo Adama University Teaching Hospital, Yola in Adamawa State. Federal Teaching Hospital, Gombe State. Federal Medical Center, Jalingo. University of Abuja Teaching Hospital, Gwagwalada. And then recently, very recently, not up to 2 weeks ago, University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, that's UNN Medical Center.
Yeah.
So that is 26, that's 26 or 27. So usually when you go there, you register as a normal patient, you get your card, you register, then everything from then on is supposed to be free. So let me put a it's not a disclaimer, but let me just say
caveat.
Something that's a caveat. Yes. Yes. So when we make mass announcements like this, many people go. Some adults even go. People have reached out to me on social media with adult cases. So Miracle Fit doesn't support yet the treatment of clubfoot for adults.
Okay.
However, as a healthcare professional, I will encourage all of them to go to the hospital. You will find the help that you need. They need to go there and be assessed. Even if your baby is 10 years, there's some of this I can't, because of time, I can't go into the details of some of these hospitals have facility to treat adult clubfoot, facility to treat teenagers that have clubfoot, even though they may not be free. Even though they may not be free, some aspects of it may be free. And then the doctors, the clinicians will advise you. It's better, a problem shared is half solved. It's better you go and get an opinion from a professional, and then they'll tell you what next to do. So I'll encourage everybody, send your relations, send your friends, send your neighbors, tell them about these clinics. I think, Ekene, I'll give you the list. If you have an opportunity, you can also post it so that people that missed, or maybe I was too fast, I don't know. People that missed
you give me the list.
I'll give you the list so that, because it's very important for them to assess care and start early. The outcome is better when the baby starts early, but we also accept babies of 1 to 3 years and above, depending on the expertise of who they meet.
Okay. Wow. Ekene, I tell you, I didn't, when we first connected, and I learned about this, what you're doing, I wasn't overly impressed. Okay. but haven't spoken
because
to you.
You didn't know about it.
Yes, I did see. That's the truth. Okay.
Yeah,
I haven't spoken to you now, and because of my personal condition and how difficult it is, I can easily relate with it. Okay.
Absolutely.
And I know how difficult it must be for these kids growing up with this kind of condition. I mean, a treatable condition, and growing up year after year after year after year without treatment. Man, it's hard. I will tell you, it is hard. Okay. So thank you for reaching out to me. Okay. Thank you for reaching out to me and pushing me, okay, to talk to you. I'm happy you did that. I am happy you did that. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes. So let me finish
what you're doing.
Thank you. Let me finish what this is how I end my sessions. Okay. I want you to envision Africa in 20, 30 years time. What do you see?
I see freedom.
Oh, good.
In every sense of it. I see young people taking over. What we are seeing, I had a lot of my colleagues from different countries following the Nigerian elections. What we experienced is just the tip of the iceberg. Before, the youth were never interested. They thought you have to have a lot of money to go into politics and to go into governance and for your voice to be heard. But they are coming up. So as they are coming up in politics, I want them to come up in health. I want them to come up in education. I want us to start owning our problems so that we'll be able to also own our solutions.
Yes.
Anybody can help you. But that is help. But you have the key to your own problem. You understand? I remember when we were growing up, sometimes our dad would say, okay, write a list. He will now tell you, we used to have money. Our uncles and aunts used to give us money. So you used to save it. Dad will now ask you, so how much do you have? So out of this list now, how much do you need and how much do you have? You now go and look at, maybe you had 1,000 naira. Your list may be 10,000 naira. You have 500 naira or 1,000 naira. But it's something. You're starting from somewhere. How much do you have? We need to start asking ourselves, how much do we have? And we have so much more in Africa. Not just about natural resources, manpower. Do you understand? And then we have so much intellect. Even with the so-called brain drain, even with the so-called japa, everybody will not japa. We still there, we full ground. Everybody will not leave. Even those, when we beautify Africa, those that japad out
will come back
because of circumstance, will come back. So I see freedom and I see Africa taking its rightful place. And it's going to happen in the next 20 to 30 years.
Wow. Ekene, Dr. Ekene, thank you very, very much for being a fantastic guest of Think Big for Africa podcast. Man.
Thank you so much, Ekene. I've enjoyed myself. Thank you
me
so
too,
much.
Me too.
Yeah.
Wow.